So sorry.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to just give you my view, yeah?
It'd be actually the ideal thing, Mark, if that's okay.
Okay.
By the way, this is my colleague, Stuart Green.
How do you do?
Stuart Green.
And I'm Warren, I'm the sergeant.
Hi, Warren. Look, this is not a great idea. That's who I am. So I'm a fellow of the Royal Society of Medicine. I'm a medical researcher. I did my PhD at Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital.
Okay.
I had to look through thousands of medical records so I can read medical records. I'm not thick at that, right?
Right, okay.
I'm dyslexic though. So if you get documents from me and it's like, what the hell is he saying? Do not think and that's the other thing. When I write, because I'm dyslexic, it can come over aggressive. And I'm not. I just don't know how to...
Okay, yeah.
Just so you know. Okay, so I'll just go through this and then you can pull it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a letter from the university saying I've got a PhD. There's my Royal Society of Medicine thing. That's from Chelsea Westminster Hospital, basically saying I was made a fellow there. This is my first aid. So I don't collect certificate, I just do the courses. There's that. There's my so-called massage course, so what?
Yeah.
This is about the dolls, deprivation of liberty. This is saying from the lawyers that we think we can challenge it. Okay. Underneath this, this is, when the dolls is, they actually say there was an incident number.
Yeah.
And the incident number, I was actually seeing a lawyer called Gareth Williams.
Okay.
So at the time they phoned the incident in, I was not there. I was not there at night. They had stopped me going at night, but they created an incident number and they used it in the dolls.
So what was the incident number about? What was the concern?
They claimed that at night I was making a noise and troubling the nursing home. I've never done that, sir.
Okay.
I'm honest to God. The worst... Then they do...
That was reported by the care home?
Well, that's what they did. They created this one incident.
Yeah.
But as you see, the incident occurred at whatever time. But at the same time, I was seeing a lawyer and it wasn't at night. That was really naughty. So what happened was... my mother was at a previous nursing home called... what was it? Oaklands.
Okay.
What happened at the Oaklands? Everything went well from 2010-ish to about the 24th of November 2013. My mum then had it was a Monday, she had a massive epileptic fit, started at 1 o'clock, continued, I kept being told it would be a Dr. Bland, or I was told an ambulance was coming, didn't arrive, and then 4:25, I called the ambulance, it's all logged, the ambulance arrived, the ambulance was shocked with my mum's condition, they said they wouldn't allow their mum to be like that. Then the nursing home manager brought out a do not resuscitate document, which was inappropriate. Luckily the ambulance crew rejected it. It had Dr. Bland's num on it.
At the Oaklands still?
That was at the Oaklands. It didn't make sense, but what had happened before then, that day, was my mum had gradually gone from 2010 not being able to talk or think, and I kept being involved and making her better. She started remembering things. She said somebody had hit her. At first I was saying, well, Mum, you had a stroke, right?
Okay.
And when you have a stroke, you fall over, so that probably I was thinking was going on in her head. But something else kept resonating, something else was going on. And at the time, I didn't know what it was, right? And I was I'm really ignorant. And what was also going on before 2010, this hadn't been completed, but this had been started. Okay. This is a wet room, because my mum, pre-2010, needed grab rails, right? Yeah, she needed that, and therefore we've got witness statements from next door and other people saying she was having a wet room built. But later on, after the incident in 2013, November the 24th, my mum gets moved to Paneton Nursing Home, right?
When was that? Sorry.
In the beginning of 2014.
Yeah.
And then what happened was, around 2014, we got other information coming in, which I'll tell you about, but I don't want to make it too diverse. So she goes into Paneton Nursing Home.
Is that your mum?
Yeah. So first thing happens at night is I go in there and there's no staff there at night. Well, there doesn't seem to be any staff. And I find what's happening is the Paneton Nursing Home have got a critical care unit on the side. Okay. What they do is they take patients from the local hospital and run them through the critical care unit. Therefore, they don't have staff to run the thing at night properly. Okay. I was seeing that. I was walking out of that nursing home. What happened was my mum would get stomach aches and she would be in pain. I would tell the staff, could we have help at 7:30, 8 o'clock they had a changeover. About 8:30, still hadn't bought any medicine. I stayed with mum, which I think you should do. And then 9 o'clock, they finally got her medicine, and her pain would go by 10 o'clock, and I would leave. This became a regular feature. So what happened was, first I was blocked from being there at night, because I noticed there was no staff. Yeah. And I wasn't being a nuisance. I was walking down corridor looking for staff. I went to their main office, they weren't there. It was like a ghost town. But they claimed I was going into... I never went into people's rooms. I don't need to go into people's rooms.
Right, okay.
What I did was, I walked past rooms and people saying, somebody, you know, where have you been for an hour? There were people in trouble, but they blocked me from night, right?
Okay.
At the same time, I go in at meal times, and my mum has had a stroke, right? So what you've got to understand about the stroke is, when you take liquids, if you don't thicken them, they go into your chest, yeah? That's a possibility instead of your stomach.
Yeah.
So when you thicken it, drops, right? This bowl here has got fluids, which is problematic, right? That shouldn't be there, because if she takes it, it will go into her chest. It could go in, it's called aspiration. I take this photograph to the boss of the nursing home and says, that's not your mum's, that's wrong, right? She says that's wrong.
Okay.
But then, when I show her this next photograph, she says, that's the same bowl, right? See, cup and everything.
Yeah.
End of meeting. That's it, that's their discussion process. No investigation, end of discussion process. And then what happened also was, luckily, this guy went with me, this is May, and he saw my mum.
I've read this. I think I've been sent an email of all this.
Yeah.
Who is Timothy Kelly?
He was the person who stayed here at the time, and he went in, and we actually...
one of the residents.
And we actually had... Hang on. We've got one of these, sorry, turn it off. We had one of those, tape recording. So we've got proof. We went in, recorded it, and what you can hear on it is we go in, and we get non-thickened fluid, we query the staff, and that was what generated that. Sorry, I put that there. And then we've got another one saying my mum had thickened fluids by me, and those are all the people who saw me looking after my mum.
Okay.
There's all the other ones seeing my mum. This is another one asking for inquiry. But the point was, they have a meeting, and it's one of the documents you don't have. I find out from Carol Cruzon that there's a big meeting going to occur, and I say, well, if there's going to be a big meeting, I should find out about it, because what happened around that time was my mum became ill, went into hospital due to a chest infection, because she wasn't getting thickened fluids. She came back out. The manager, which is also taped again, said, you can't see mum because the hospital told you can't. Phoned the hospital guy, said this is totally wrong, and it's saved on the computer. I then finally see them, they say, oh, you know, there's a meeting go ahead. I phone her, I send all this evidence to Carrie Cruzon, ignores it. There's no mention of it anywhere in the doles or anything. It should be stated. The doles is meant to be impartial, it's meant to give an explanation. What happened then was, they had a meeting without me of the multidiscipline team. In the multidiscipline team, they said the police had been called on multiple occasions. If that was so, you'd have a record of it. I've not been able to find a record of it. But there was one incident, which is what I think they used for the dolls.
Okay, yeah.
They also said I had misfed my mum, but it's all based on hearsay. There's not one true witness who saw me misfeeding my mum. No one. But they put it down. So it's a bit like you going to trial and then
From a police investigation, nothing was taken up in relation to their concern. It was just, I believe, matters that were raised, concern about your attendance whilst there, which has been mentioned to me by the care home. But as I say, from our perspective, whatever happened there, whether there's any truth or not, it's nothing that we've taken up, is it?
Okay, no. But the point is, what they had was a multidiscipline team meeting, and they said I attended it. I never attended it. They then generated a dolls, which is illegal. We got that dolls removed. It cost me lawyers' money. We got it removed, and they put another one in place to make sure I don't go in at night and I don't see anyone at meal times.
What the dolls mean? I've got a rough idea. What is it?
Oh, it's really bad at the moment. On Monday, there was a new guidance brought out by the Parliamentary Select Committee, Heard, and all these people, because the dolls is part of the Mental Capacity Act 2007, and what they're saying is that they can sort of look after your parents and prevent issues happening. You can also prevent people seeing them. So when they created the dolls, it's like a document which Chester City Council have generated, and in it what they've done is stop me seeing my mum only with a social worker. What they've done is they've meant that I can't video record things, which is against the law, because under the new EU guidelines I'm allowed to take photographs and recordings if it helps support my evidence. That is an actual rule. They're not meant to be able to stop it. Then the other thing was they stop anyone visiting my mum, and this is important because here, this is Jason Hurst.
Yeah.
He saw, and this is a COP24, last year he went and observed an independent mental health capacity expert visit my mum and was not allowed in the nursing home. Now if that mental capacity expert had been allowed in that room and that thing back then, because it's intermittent, my mum's mental capacity goes up and down. If she had been allowed in that day, she would have seen my mum and heard from my mum she didn't want to stay in the nursing home. But they were not allowed. And then the next COP24, which is from another gentleman who knew my mum, Michael Evans, he knows that my mum, and he spoke to my mum, and she had capacity. She knew where, what, and everything, but it was not allowed because we needed the mental capacity expert. And then we had the second person who also saw my mum, but the point is they're not mental capacity experts, so they aren't credible.
Who are they though, if you don't mind me
They're
asking?
just friends. Michael Evans known my mum for over 30 years.
People that know your mum, okay.
But this is the point. They blocked, and this is similar to the Essex case, and you're going to get used to these, because last year there was a court case in Essex where a gentleman was kept in a nursing home for 2 years against their wishes by using the dolls.
Okay.
So dolls is very powerful. It's going to be scrapped because they're sick to death of being manipulated for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
So coming back to this, they put a dolls in, they prevent me accessing my mother. You've got a letter here from an independent healthcare provider who says my mum can come home and live, so she doesn't have to be in the nursing home. We have the fact that we have a mental capacity expert going to visit, but they're blocked, so we can't legally prove my mum.
What's your overall wish from your mum? Sorry, I know it's probably not being asked from the off, really. What is it you'd like? Never mind.
I am next of kin. Technically, I am next of kin. My sister claims she is, but I've got paperwork and other stuff to show that I am.
Right, is that ongoing?
That's ongoing. But if it is, it still has to be decided in the court. But the point is, my mum wanted to live in here. That was why we built the wet room. I finished the wet room. She could move in here. She could have a bed here. In London, I've seen people in worse condition than my mother, where a local community would come in 3 or 4 times a day. She would be there. She is not under complex medical care. But it's got more worse now,
I believe it's deteriorated, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's only deteriorated for other reasons that I'll come to. So what happens is, we've got also, this is another letter proof my mum had mental capacity, but once again, ignored, saying she wants to leave. Then this is where it gets really peculiar. Let's try and structure this. About a month ago, well, there's been a series of issues going on in that nursing home, right? She's been dehydrated 3 times. Got a tape recording of every time I spoke to the doctors or nurses in the hospital. They do not want her to go back to the nursing home. Chester City Council take the command, they put her back. Every time he's dehydrated, that shouldn't happen. It's showing something really problem. The reason she's dehydrated is they don't give them fluids, and actually don't give patients fluid, the medicines can become more toxin and all that. But it saves them changing them, yeah? You get it, that's what they're doing. So 3 times she had that flagged up, and the doctors didn't want her to go back. She's also been hit twice. I went and see my mum one Sunday morning, and she was not happy, in tears. It's recorded somewhere. It was never investigated. The Care UK company go, no such problem. That's not the way to run it, and that's why they try and claim that's the best nursing home. So further on...
Who's claiming it's the best nursing home?
Well, they do. Care UK.
I'm not sure about what their stands are and what their standings are, sorry, in respect of...
Okay. So then the next bit, which is the final bit, is a month ago, there were other issues, right? And this is all happening a year for one lady. So one lady, lots happening, right? Statistically, why one lady having so many issues?
Right.
My sister seems very friendly with the nursing home.
Has your sister got, and I believe she hasn't, but as your understanding, has your sister got any issues with the care home?
Never. Even though everything has gone wrong in that nursing home, she is sweet as pie with them, which makes no sense. And also, when this was up on the Saatchi Art Gallery, she asked for it to be removed.
So, sorry, what's this?
Okay, well, this is what I put on the Saatchi Art League Gallery. These are pictures which I digitised, which is, one is my mum is stolen, but it's no face, right? So there's no, you can't really say remove that picture because my mum's face is shown, which is what they said. This is the other one which is on Saatchi, and I put it down for 25,000. It was just a joke, but the point was I was trying to create awareness of the situation. I got 1,100 views. This is my mum's room over summer, right? Last summer. She's got a damp cloth on her head. She had passed out. The medical records show she was really ill because the heat was over 30.5. I had to buy not 1, but 2, but 3 fans. That nursing home had no fans until I bought them. And then I reported them to CQC. They blocked me for 3 weeks from going in there. Problem with the heat when it's over 30.4, once it goes over 27, if you're an old person, your hypothalamus and all that can't cope with the temperature. So my mum passed out. She has a heart condition. She could have died then. Okay. But it's ignored, and these are then asked to be removed from the Saatchi Art Gallery by my sister and her lawyer. My sister stopped my mum being having a mental capacity expert through the nursing home. This is the problem. My sister was very happy. My mum was going to go to King's Court, yeah? Perfect. All her local friends, everyone she knows. My sister wanted to go to that one, which made no sense, apart from she knows Dr. Bland. She is very well connected with Dr. Bland. So she puts them over there, And then when I get my mum finally moved out, it's Vicky who chooses the Parnitton again. She's happy with it because she knows people. Anyway, just to get it to the next bit, what happens next, which is really, really annoying, is my mum, a month ago on a plus, I go in and notice at her room at night, the electrical meter shows it's 14 degrees, right? That's cold, right, for an old person. That's very cold at night. I flag it up, nothing happens, she gets pneumonia, she goes into hospital, she's starting to eat and drink again, right? That's what the medical record should show. But they discharge her, and then I'm told that my mum, I go there on Monday morning, and I'm told by Lee Calver and Tracy Simpson, there has been a multidisciplined hospital team decision to put my mum on palliative care, right? Okay. Leading to death. That's it, you know?
Palliative care, yeah.
I have a letter here from the hospital saying that never happened. I confirm the decision, the palliative care, was not a patient in the hospital. I've been told that when my mum went back to the nurse home manager, which is not legal, and the doctor made that decision. That is wrong. And if it is a decision, put my mum on a palliative...
Which decision is it?
As I understand, it's just the doctor and the manager. But in a palliative care situation, it should be two doctors. So there should be two doctors on a file saying it's appropriate. But this is the other problem. I send them a letter, which is this one. Sorry, it's all legal.
Yeah.
If you don't have mental capacity...
But your mum doesn't,
yeah,
I believe, at the moment.
If you do not have mental capacity... Yeah. You cannot put a person on palliative care. It has to be a decision made by the Court of Protection. That is what that says. Those are done by two lawyers. I'm then given a letter by this lawyer saying, everything's all right, Mark. Your mum's not on palliative care. I go back, they say they are. Okay. My mum's slow. Sorry, go on.
No, Mark, I'm absorbing a lot of information. I'm sure you appreciate that. And I'm spoken to Gareth Lawrence and other police officers. But what I'm trying to say, from the perspective is, a lot of these issues that you have, and I do really feel, I understand there's an underlying issue for yours, but for example, the palliative care situation is not...
No, but this is where it gets more complicated. Okay, this is where it gets more complicated. Yeah. My mum starts to improve, starts to take fluids, starts to take liquids again. Yeah. I go in and I find that the nurse home says I've shook my mum. Chester City Council, Clive, what's his name, does it again. He sort of puts another dolls in place again, so it limits my mum. I go in there on a Monday. So in that Monday, you've got Lee Calver and Gavin Butler, who both know each other, who's sort of very close. And they're people who work for Chester City Council. Their names occur for everything. Leslie Cruz and those three keep occurring in the county council, right? On the time of the table for the nursing home, you've got Tracy Simpson and Leslie Cooper, or whatever her name is, right? They bring out, which I was not allowed, but I did have it tape recorded, they bring out medical files which state that my mum had been discharged from the hospital with the palliative care done, disproving that document there. Also, on the date of it, it was printed on that day, and that's when they said the end of the meeting, because I wasn't given a copy of that document. If I had a copy of that document, the dates wouldn't have matched. That's why I say the medical records don't match. There's a big problem now. The medical records should be all connected, yeah? Unless they're doing like double bookkeeping. They're keeping one file of the patients they're trying to put on a palliative care pathway, and they're doing something else, but I can't prove that. Then we try and get an investigative journalist to go and look at all this. Yeah. He goes to see this. He starts digging around, finding things not right. He's told that I'm mad. He's told I'm not a doctor. He told I'm seen playing with medical equipment. It gets worse and worse and worse.
Who's this, Nick Owens?
This is Nick Owen, who works for the Sunday Mail, is the editor. So he doesn't run the story. And now I find out they've been doing that to a lot of people. They've been bad-mouthing me to deliberately stop investigations. So bad so that last year, when the CQC were told to investigate what I saw, which is non-thickened fluid, it wasn't investigated. I sat down at the table, and you've got to understand, I'm not doing this on purpose. I'm just naturally observant. I sat at the table, ladies over there, one day get thickened fluid, next day don't. I notice it. I flag it up. They block me for meal times. Why block me for meal times? Because, and forgive me, this could be wrong, if you don't give them thickened fluids and randomly do that, perhaps they might develop a chest infection. If they develop a chest infection and the doctor then chooses not to give them the antibiotics, They'll die. The file will say death by natural causes, and no one will know because no one's going to do an autopsy, and it's taken a year now, so all the evidence will have gone. I am suggesting that there was something more peculiar going on. And also, the current doctor, Dr. Nichols, who put my mum on morphine for no reason, as we can understand, because you have to be on morphine, you have to have a lot of pain, right? Since I flagged it up that my mother was on pain with the GMC, the General Medical Council, he has not put her on since. And in fact, she's on no painkillers at all, apart from aspirin for a headache. She didn't need it. They put her on morphine to stop her from eating and drinking. They put it to induce death. That woman, with the right level of care, can live. Then what happened on Friday, I went in there, and if you pull your skin, if you aren't dehydrated, it doesn't go back quick, right? So I know she wasn't dehydrated, but this is the other bit. The nurse comes in, Jenny, and says to me, because I tape recorded it, Jenny says, not to give your mum fluids until the end of an hour or whatever. When I leave, because I'm only allowed to see my mum Monday, Wednesday and Friday for 1 hour with 2 social workers.
Sat there with you?
Yeah, and it's just incredible, right? But I can't do anything like this. I can't record. I can't.
So what if you did record? What would happen to you?
I've done it anyway now.
I know whether you have or not.
I don't care.
Start recording. You get.
I'll get told leave. Yeah, but the point was, they said mum couldn't drink, but she's thirsty from 2 o'clock. She's saying she wants fluids, right? She's desperate. Her skin's dry. I'm noticing it. It's even on the recording. I'm saying it. The nurse comes in. They straighten her. They bring out the thickened fluids, and it's just juice. That's all she's getting. There's no medication. She gets the spoon, she gives it to my mum. My mum goes like that. It doesn't make sense. And I'm thinking, well, that's an unusual reaction. And it doesn't make sense because she's thirsty. And I've asked her loads of times. I take the spoon off the nurse, not happy. Foul. Foul tasting substance. If that's,
so have you raised that with them about...
I've raised it and I've told the CQC, but it's not gone off. That is like dishwater. That is something else. Also, the taste stuck in my mouth for an hour and 30 minutes later. It was repulsive. Then on the same Friday, when I phoned up later, they said to me, your mother is being offered fluids but rejecting them. That's what the classic palliative care route's all about. We couldn't help her. She didn't want fluids, died by natural causes. She has been classically conditioned to reject fluids, like Pavlov's dog. This is being done with intent. Then on Monday, when I went yesterday, I said, I need to be able to taste the fluids my mum gets. Manager says, no, you can't do that. And I say, why? It says, oh, it's a prescribed medicine. It's not, it's thickener. I mean, yes, you can prescribe it for a doctor, but it's nothing special. Since
so all these issues you've raised, and I know we could be here all day.
Yeah.
I have got other things I've got.
No.
In relation to all these issues, the thickening, the fact that the feed obviously being vile, etc. Have you of recent have you been granted, shall we say, a meeting with all these people you have concerns about?
Yes, next week, but they don't listen, sir. They never listen.
When you say next week, where is that taking place?
On the 17th, but my mum will be dead by then.
Right, okay.
My mum will be dead because what they've done is they've reduced fluids from her. They've officially taken medical support away from her, so she's not on any medication, which is therefore...
It's all recorded by Dr. Nichols, though, isn't it? Who is... my understanding within the care home is the carer in relation to in mum's best interest.
He could be the individual who's undersigning a Liverpool pathway care structure. He's the pin of it all. That whole point is those old ladies were deliberately had come to a stage where they didn't want them, and the cost of it was on the council. When you go, my mum went on the council. That's when this all really got more complicated. Final thing, and I'll let you go because I know you've got busy work to do.